Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I'm a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and just stick around. Also, if you need any help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, small group coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. So if you're interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's dive into today's video. In today's video, I thought I would offer a more personal perspective from my personal experience of how telepathy works, how thought transmission works. I know there's a lot of interest from a lot of you guys on this area of manifesting. And I happened to mention it in a comment a few weeks ago that telepathy and thought transmission seems to be my superpower because I literally have experiences with telepathy and thought transmission every single day or almost every single day. So some subscribers actually encouraged me to do a video to talk about my experiences. So this is what I thought I would do today. This is what I'm going to discuss in this video, so stay tuned. So like I just said, I seem to have a superpower, quote unquote, with telepathy and thought transmission. I've always been kind of strong in that area without doing anything, without cultivating it, without doing anything to grow the skill, if we should call it a skill. I don't know how you would even call that. But over time, and as I delve deeper into self-development, into mindset work, into manifesting, into the law of assumption and all of these things, it only grew stronger and stronger. And the interesting thing is, ever since I started this channel, it's grown even stronger. And as you know, as I've said in other videos, I'm also someone who likes to observe other people, likes to observe myself. I like to observe patterns. I like to observe what happens in situations, how things play out, why they played out this way. It's professional interest and it's also personal interest and personal curiosity. So since I seem to have a lot of experience with telepathy and that sort of thing and thought transmission and everyone is you pushed out, and a thought I have is played out by someone else either immediately or after a little while or the next day, or I think something in my head and then someone else repeats it for me. All sorts of instances and all sorts of situations like that. I thought that maybe it would be beneficial to tell you guys about my own observations, about how I have come to experience telepathy and thought transmission, and how I have found it to work based on my personal experience. This video is going to be solely based on my personal experiences. Of course, they also happen to agree with a lot of the teachings. I'm not saying they're very different or anything, but this video is going to be based mainly on my personal interpretation of things, on my personal observations, on my personal experience, on how I have seen things unfold, how I notice things, and how these phenomena that can feel very, very out there actually play out on our day-to-day life in our 3D reality. So as I was reflecting back on my own experiences with telepathy and thought transmission, and as I was thinking about how to present the information in this video, I came to the conclusion that, at least in my experience, it usually plays out in one of two ways, and I'm going to elaborate a bit on both. The first way is a simple reflection of thoughts, and this way tends to work very fast. A lot of the time it's truly instant. Or if it's not instant, it's very fast. It can be within minutes, within a few hours in the same day, or maybe the next day, but it's very, very fast. It plays out very, very fast. The second way plays out on more of an energetic level. What my general energy is, what I transmit outwards to the rest of the world, let's say, what I project, and what gets projected back to me, what gets reflected back to me based on where my energy is, where my dominant energy is. And I'm talking about both positive and sometimes even negative energies. So the first way in which thought transmission can play out, and again, I repeat it, this is based on my own personal experience, okay? The first way is just simple thought transmission, simple thought reflection. I might think something and then my husband, my mom, my son, a friend of mine who I'm talking to, a client even a channel subscriber, that has happened many, many times. They actually say the same thing that I was thinking. Or I may think something and then someone else around me might actually go and do it without me saying anything. Or they might bring it up the next day as a point of discussion. And then I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, I was thinking about that just yesterday. Or I was thinking about that just earlier today, for example. Another fun thing that happens quite a lot, I find that a lot of fun, is when I actually have a question within me, something happens and I wonder why it happened this way, or why this, why that. And I'll give you an example in a minute. And then I wonder that, I won't say anything, and then the other person actually answers my question. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, I happened to text a friend. The text went through and it didn't get delivered for I can't remember, like half an hour, something like that. That tends to be unusual with that person. Usually my texts get delivered immediately, okay? So that made me wonder, I wonder why it took a while to get delivered. I didn't ask anything. I didn't say anything in my original message. I didn't send a double message to ask, oh, why did it take a while to get delivered? Anything like that. It was just a thought. I wonder why it took a while to get delivered, because it's unusual, right? So when the response came a few hours later, the person just answered the question on their own. They just said, I'm well, how are you, blah, 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 blah. I've been traveling. I didn't ask anything. They didn't know that I had wondered that I had that question in my head. Just on their own, they just offered, I've been traveling. And that tends to happen quite a lot. I have a question in my head, I don't phrase it, I don't vocalize it, and then the other person just out of the blue, seemingly out of the blue, they just answer my question. So that happens quite a bit. So all of that, plus a lot more that we don't have time for right now, all of that is one way on how thought transmission works, how telepathy works. It's essentially direct thought transmission, direct reflection of my thoughts from someone else back to me. So this is when some of you have asked me, what is my SP thinking when I'm manifesting them? I have said, well, dominantly, they're receiving your dominant inner energies, your dominant inner states, and I'm going to get that in a second. But a lot of the time, they're also receiving your direct thoughts. That is straight from my own experience, straight from my personal experience, that people can actually receive your direct thoughts and either repeat them to you or act on them without you saying anything. Or in my case, what I just described, I have a question in my head and they just answer it seemingly out of the blue, or all of these kinds of things. Now, the second way of thought transmission and telepathy, which I happen to believe is actually more important, because the first way tends to work with smaller things are more fun, things that you don't have any resistance to, things that just happen and they just remind you that everyone is you pushed out. Hello, it's a daily reminder, right? So the second way though, the energetic transmission, the transmission of your own dominant energies towards other people, I happen to think that it's more important. I happen to think that, for example, when you're manifesting an SP, this is what happens. They actually receive your dominant inner energies. They receive your dominant inner states. And that is what they're actually subconsciously compelled to reflect back to you. So I've had many experiences of that as well, where my dominant inner energies on that day, on that week, or on that hour just get reflected by someone else. And like I said, it can even be negative or unpleasant stuff. For example, if I'm angry about something, if I'm upset about something, then all of a sudden things happen that irritate me. Other people do things that irritate me. If something has upset me and I leave the house and I'm driving and I'm a little upset and I'm not in my best mood, then I guarantee you there's always going to be a slow driver in front of me. Or I'm going to hit every red light. Or someone is going to yell at me. Or I'm going to be at my son's school and someone is unpleasant. Whatever. It can be any number of experiences. But there's always a match to my dominant inner energy from something or someone in the outside world. Similarly, for example, again, I'm just giving examples. There's just so much. I'm just picking and choosing some things just to give you some examples. If I'm in a dominant state where I'm calm, where I feel gratitude, where I feel good, where I feel fine, where I feel like life is good, even if there's no particular reason, because we don't need any particular reason to feel like life is good, right? Then everyone around me seems to confirm that. Something happens. Someone pays me a compliment. My husband is extra nice. My son tells me something very nice that I love. My mom tells me something very nice. I receive something in the mail that's very good news or something that I've been waiting for example. I get a nice email that I've been waiting for. Something that I've been waiting for just comes through. Something that I had thought maybe that morning that I wanted comes through. It's all sorts of those things. So that is the telepathy and the thought transmission on a higher level, on a more energetic level, if you will. Other people still do match it. People do receive it subconsciously and they do match it. They do reflect it. And I can tell you that happens to me at least 95% of the time. Now, I'm also more aware of my thoughts. I'm more aware of where my states are. I'm more aware of where my dominant energies are. That's true. So maybe I observe it more, but maybe I'm able to just notice it more than the average person. But I can tell you that where my energy is, where my dominant energy is, and that can be accompanied by thoughts, by the way. It's not just energy, it's not just a feeling, it's also thoughts, it's just the general state, right? So wherever my dominant state is, wherever my dominant energy is, I almost always see that reflected somehow by someone else, by other people, by multiple other people, by multiple events that occur. And it's just, it's where you're vibing, just gets matched by the outside world, by other people, by everyone around you, by the people in your life. Okay? And so this is why I am convinced, because I have these experiences on a daily basis or almost a daily basis, that where you put your dominant energies, where you put your dominant states, and also what thoughts you have, get directly transmitted to people. They subconsciously receive it in that instant, in that moment. Now, whether they're consciously aware of it, that's another story, that's another question. Maybe they are instantly aware of it. Maybe it takes them a while to become aware of it. If your energy is dominant, or if you have a thought that keeps repeating itself, eventually, I guarantee you, the other person is going to get that thought into their head, or they're going to get that energy into them. They're going to get that same feeling. And what they're going to do is they're going to reflect it back to you. They're going to reflect back to you your dominant thoughts, your dominant assumptions, your dominant energies, your dominant beliefs, your dominant states, in short. So this is why self-awareness is important. This is why awareness of our inner states, our inner energies, our inner thoughts, where we put our thoughts, where we put our attention and our focus is actually so important, because everyone else does subconsciously receive what we're thinking, what we're assuming, what we're feeling, where our energy is, and all these things. Remember, we're all connected, we're all one, we're all part of the same one consciousness. And so who you are within actually does matter, because the world does reflect it back to you. With all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.